Billy, that's obviously an elite team you're playing, and you're shorthanded, but it just looked like you guys didn't have the same pop in the second half, particularly defensively. What did you see out there in that second half?
Yeah, I mean, I thought our guys really battled. Obviously, there was some lineups out there that I thought were hard for us with their size differential and playing a little bit over the top of us. We had, some breakdowns defensively. I thought the thing, with them, they score the ball so well. They're an elite 3-point shooting team. They shoot, I think, a little bit above 85% from the free throw line. They really rebound the ball very well. We just had, in my opinion, way too many empty offensive possessions. I think when we really were cutting and moving and playing downhill and good cuts to the basket, we generated, I think, really, really good opportunities for ourselves. And then I thought there was periods of time, where we'd have like 3 or 4 possessions where it was a quick shot or no pass shot, or we'd settle a little bit, and we just didn't continually play through some of their switching and some of their size and, go a little bit deeper into the shot clock. And then what happened was they would go on a little bit of a run, and then we kind of like hold water for a little bit. And then we'd have another kind of segment where we had a few possessions, where we kind of did the same thing. I don't want to say we stagnated. We just didn't generate enough quality possessions in that second half on offense. And I thought we made it a little bit easier for them guarding us. Now, there was times when we were really moving and cutting. We got some really good stuff at the basket, but we just didn't do it consistently enough or often enough.
On a night like tonight, where Patrick's got so much on his plate defensively, are you okay with his shots, being at 5? Or are you just worried about him focusing on defense tonight?
No, I think that's going to be the evolution of him. I mean, I think it's a great point, Casey. He's got to be able to stay involved, and put pressure on the defense and, make Kawhi, those other guys have to work. We tried to run something for him coming out of the third quarter to try to be a little bit of aggressive on a drive. They did a good job guarding it, but he did try to drive the ball a couple times. He got fouled one time going to the basket. But, yeah, I mean, I think him playing downhill, doing a little bit more, I think that's what we need him to do. But, listen, there's a lot coming at him, and he obviously had a hard matchup tonight. And I think for him, he really worked hard on Kawhi. He did a lot of good things. And, listen, you're going to have to give up something. And, what we didn't want to do is foul, and we didn't want to, really let him get to the rim. And he made a lot of mid-range jump shots, which is what he does. But it's hard to get to him in those areas of the floor because you really open yourself up to a lot of different issues, than him making some of those. And he made some tough shots tonight, and that's what he does. That's what great players do.
Thank you.
Yep.
Joe Cowley, you're up.
Billy, you brought up the missed offensive possessions, the kind of lost offensive possessions. Did you see those carrying over to the defensive side a little bit in the second half? It seemed like the physicality and the idea of making guys uncomfortable was lost on too many possessions on the defensive end after offensive possessions didn't go their way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to – I don't know if that was the case or not, Joe. I definitely think that, for most teams, offense of possessions certainly impact defense. I thought the one thing that made it hard for us defensively is when we did have some of those possessions on offense, to your point, they were quick possessions. It was like no pass, one pass shot. And if you don't make those shots, you're back having to guard again, instead of maybe getting to the free throw line, slowing the game down, getting physicality into the game defensively. I thought we played really physical in the first half, but even in the first half, the way we started the game, it wasn't good. We turned the ball over way too much early. We kind of course corrected a little bit and did a little bit better job in the second half, but I don't think there's any question that our offense definitely impacted, our defense. And I think that, I don't know if it was like the guys weren't trying as much, but we put ourselves in difficult situations in transition because the floor wasn't balanced well enough, because we just didn't play well enough on offense. And this has been a group that, has normally and generally been, in the high 20s, mid 30s in assists. I mean, we didn't shoot a bad percentage tonight, but we had 24 assists, and that's really below our average. I think that's always an indication of your ball movement and how you're playing. And I definitely think some of that bled into our defensive, whether not getting back, the physicality you're talking about. I don't think there's any question our offense impacted our defense.
Thanks, Billy.
You're welcome.
Sam Smith, you got the next one. Go ahead.
Billy, they seem like a team that takes you out of it with their pace. They play kind of slow. They're not fast break. They're not scoring a lot of points on fast break. They seem to take the energy out of your team in some respects by playing slow like that. And then, even though you were still hanging in there, what happened in that Lou Williams stretch of like a dozen straight points in the fourth quarter, which that kind of took you out of it in the end?
Yeah, I mean, we ended up, going to, when Luke went in there, I think it was maybe a 10 or a 12-point game. They switched and went small and moved Morris to the 5. We kind of came back in with Thad. We were looking to kind of switch, some of their stuff and not stay in coverage because they had 5 3-point shooters on the floor. And I just didn't think that we did a great job on Lou Williams. I think we got, some blown coverages on some switches. We got some blown coverages where, we didn't really have great communication, and, he kind of got going. And, him and Morris, they kind of make you pay, for mistakes, and we had to pay for them tonight. But yeah, they got going, and a lot of it was, just a lot of slip out screens, a lot of, small on small, Lou Williams on Kawhi, having to switch those, him slipping out, getting to spots, drives. That was the thing that was most disappointing in that segment, Sam, was the fact that he drove the ball and we didn't come across at all to help. There was no presence at the basket. Even if it was a guard down there, we've got to do a better job of coming across and helping one another.
They're just their style, there's that kind of games take your energy away from you guys as much as.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, with their personnel, they're going to go to matchups. They're really more of a matchup orientated team. I think, kind of like almost like the Lakers are really, really great and explosive at fast breaking because they really advance pass and they throw the ball down the floor. So, they look like they play really fast, but they get out because they really, advance it. But once they get into the half court, they're kind of manipulating matchups and things like that. And that's what these guys do. They put Kawhi in different situations and they kind of let him go to work a little bit. They've got, certainly things for Lou Williams as well, but they just, I think personnel wise, try to create dilemma and challenges for you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Cody, you got the next one. Go ahead, please.
Billy, it was a really rough night for Daniel Gafford. Why do you think he was so uncomfortable on the offensive end, and what do you kind of tell him after that game?
Yeah, I mean, I thought he came back and played a little bit better there in the third quarter. He's had a couple of starts like that. I think a little bit in the New Orleans game, and then he came back in that third quarter and was really a bright spot because we kind of got on our run in the third quarter against New Orleans. But he's got to, I think one of the things that I've got to try to do to try to help him, a little bit is he is a dynamic roller and he's really good at kind of getting behind the defense, but a lot of times, when teams are in drop coverage, sometimes that gets taken away a little bit. And sometimes those passes are hard to make. And now he's got to find other avenues, right, to generate offense. And some of those things are in the pocket. And I think that's an area that he's got to get more comfortable. I mean, he had a lot of plays there early in the game that the ball got kind of slapped out of his hand and he was rolling into the mid pocket. He struggled with that against New Orleans. And then in that third quarter, he made some really good passes. I mean, he's going to have to get better because he's just not going to always be able to roll and throw it up to the rim and him get dunks. And it does happen sometimes, but he's probably going to be in the pocket a lot more than he's going to be behind the defense, getting roll dunks. And it does happen sometimes for him, but not as much as that pocket pass. And that's just something we've got to try to help him with, to help him get more comfortable in those areas of the floor, because he's got to slow down a little bit. The ball comes to him in the middle of the floor. There's generally people around him and things are happening quickly, and he's just got to read the floor. And, I thought he had some opportunities to do that. And, he lost the ball a couple times. One time I think he got stripped, but it was just, it was hard for him. But that's kind of an area that he's going to have to grow in as a young player.